Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Calling all the fighters, calling on survivors. Are you up all nighters? We can take it higher. Let's do this. Can you feel the fire running through your veins? Now you're burning brighter, don't look away. Shout out to the legends, rising from the wreckage. Count down the seconds, it's out to engines. Let's do this. I know we've got a long way to go. I know we've got a long road home. I know we've got a long way to go. Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Let's do this. Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Let's do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Stafford Speedway for the North-South Racing League. Kelly's Custom Engraving 125. For Ghostfire Media, I'm Josh Laston, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Wood.
How's it going tonight, Josh?
Oh, just looking forward to some good, close racing on what is, honestly, a really fun short track, and especially in these cars, we say it just about every week. It's multi-lined, and these guys are going to have some fantastic racing for us tonight.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a flat track, but this car's pretty good for it. They can carry the momentum through the corners pretty well, and I think these guys are going to have a fantastic race right now. This is race number 11 of 17.
And honestly, as we look at Stafford, we were here last season. Dante Curtis won that race. He honestly sets the track record. Shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but the one thing we have to look at is in practice right now, Dustin Shepard is on the top of the board, but apparently we had a number of chili dog incidents. But anyway, you slice it, it's a fantastic race. And these guys, as per usual, and apparently all my sizes got screwed up here, it's a great race to come back to because Dante Curtis currently leading the points and a rather sizable lead over Mike Alexander right now with 24 points.
Yeah, I mean, Dante Curtis took over the lead, and then he's set selling with it right now. Mike Alexander, though, you know, last week was his first week out of the points lead, and he's hanging in there tough there in second place. So he's not out of the running. Dante Curtis can have a bad night. Anybody can have a bad night, and I'll be right back up there, just a few points, or maybe leapfrog him.
Well, and the one thing I am noticing is that Dante has not set a time in practice at this point. But Bryan Hacker, he's up there in third right now. Ryan Johnson, always going to be strong. He's currently sitting in seventh, but it's going to come down to race pace tonight. Will Eastman, fifth. These top five, any of them could go on a run and end up taking home the championship. But what we've got to focus on is 125 laps here at Stafford. As we're watching Bryan Hacker, he's just out there kind of putzing, trying some different lines. And the thing to note about this track is pit lane is basically in the middle of the track. Entry is before turn 3, exits turn 1, to where, unlike a lot of the tracks where you're basically doing a full lap, it actually cuts some of that time out by only having to go into the middle.
Yeah, this track's going to be fun, though. I think these guys are going to... It's going to be challenging. I wonder what lanes are going to be used for passing. Last week we saw kind of a bottom feeder track where these guys couldn't really make any type of passes until, you know, somebody made a true mistake. Here they're able to leverage the apron. Looks like these guys are falling below it. So there's a lot of maneuvering. I feel like there's going to be a lot of those things called dive bombs happening.
Well, and if I remember correctly, this was a relatively clean race last season, except for a few there was one random caution that kind of threw things into chaos towards the tail end. So I'm hoping we don't have one of those tonight, but these guys are going to be racing close. Things will happen. But the big thing is again, the yellow line is the boundary. If you're brave, you can drop down below that white line if you're trying to get a little extra speed, as we're actually seeing Adam Gable go a little bit low, thinking about maybe taking that dive bomb into account. But with 30 seconds left to practice, it's time to just kind of try some things.
Yeah, I mean, they're really putting the left sides down. I don't think you're going to try to put all four tires down there, but I think you're able to hook it. Looks like more in 1 and 2 instead of 3 and 4. So we see the 14 of Jesse Womack, and then Adam Gable slide around, and it looks like everybody's now aiming for him.
Yeah, if you're coming to the end, they've already started waving the white or the checkered flag for practice to end. Yeah, you're looking for a little entertainment there.
I know I do. I try to find people to hit near the end of a practice.
You try to find people anytime that they are in front of you.
True, very true. That's the most fun part about it. You can wreck everybody underneath practice and get away with it.
Yeah, just don't do it during the actual race and we're fine. All right, so we've got our first few getting themselves at the end of pit road as we hit qualifying. And it looks like, for me, Devin Rogers is the first one out on track. So let's actually go on board with the Kelly's Custom Engraving roll bar camera and do a quick lap around this half-mile track. So as we see, he's getting down to that white line early, running a little bit of a diamond where you come off in the middle of the corner and then cut back down to the white line. And it looks like we are going to go ahead and give commentator's curse that one. So we'll jump on board right now with Dante Curtis, who's on his first flyer, and watch to see what he's going to do on this. He's just hugging that white line. Actually gets a little bit squirrely, and that's going to kind of ruin the race. He's going to have to start at the back due to last week's win. So now he's just out there having fun. So we'll actually go to the Canadian who just set the fastest lap at the 21 flat. And see who out there. Jesse Womack just finishes the lap, gets himself up into second, and he's 2/10 off. And we'll see if he's able to improve, and it's looking like he is fighting with that car on corner entry into 3, and he is going to go ahead and cross the line. He's unable to improve. He's currently running in 3rd. Gary Eschen on his 2nd lap changed the paint colors this week to where rather than purple, we're looking at red, and see if he's able to get himself up a little bit higher. He got shuffled back into third from second by Bryan Hacker, who is taking advantage of that apron to try to cut as much distance out, and he's not able to improve, and these lap times are flying in. Dustin Shepard has moved himself into third.
Yeah, right now we got a few people on the track right now. Look at Dustin Shepard, we got Jared Apel. He's coming around to finish his second lap here. Right now sitting in fifth. Does he improve? He does. He moves up to fourth, pushes Gary Eschen back. We got a Cal Walgreen. He's out there. He's about to finish his second lap. He's halfway through here. He's on the back straightaway, entering turn 3 here. See how far he drops down. Slides those tires, hits the center of the apex there, drives it off and across the line. And let's see, does he improve? Yes, he does. He goes from 14th to 10th with that one.
All right, we'll jump up to see Travis Hoefler here as he's completing his second lap, looking to see if he's able to improve on the 21.89. Gets a little loose coming out of the corner. He's gonna slam it into the wall. All right, and it's looking like some of these guys aren't going to be putting in laps. We have Kenny Tripp, Justin Rigsby, Jeff Mathis, Gage Killam, and Jeff Bergener, who aren't looking to put in anything. But
well, it shows Justin Rigsby ran 2 laps. He might have messed up, clipped it, or got an incident point, scraped the wall, something to that effect that kind of nullified his lap times there.
Yeah, that's one of those unfortunate things. Sometimes the walls help you. And unfortunately, iRacing doesn't let you take advantage of that occasionally. Sometimes you just have a bad day and you need to hit the wall because something like a Phoenix, to where sometimes you use the wall to straighten your car out before what is now the backstretch.
I mean, you know, you're just trying to push the wall out another like 3 or 4 inches. I mean, that's all you're trying to do. You're trying to do it in practice, but unfortunately, it does not work.
Well, the one thing we do have to appreciate is the fact that these cars aren't running Goodyears, to where we aren't going to have a 25 lap limit before they explode. So these guys are probably going to be on a one stop if we make it the whole way. It's just going to be a matter of when they would have to come in. It actually looks like Jeff Bergener goes out right as they throw the checkered flag. All right. It's
the doomsday wheel.
It is that time. Let's see how big it gives of an invert it gives us this week. We have 21 cars out there. So let's see how much it is going to give us. Hey, roughly half the field. We're going to go with 11. Not small, but not the entire field. So that's going to work out for us. We're going to see a good amount of shaking up as we'll be able to take a quick look and run through how people qualified, but just remember, this is not where they're going to get to start. So in first tonight, Mike Alexander qualifies at the front. Second is Bryan Hacker. Third is Dustin Shepard. Fourth, Jared Apel. Fifth is Gary Eschen. Sixth, Jesse Womack. Seventh is Ryan Johnson. Eighth is Will Eastman. Ninth, Devin Rogers. 10th is Kyle Walgreen. And the man who gets moved to the front, Adam Gable, is in 11th.
12th will be Rodney Huntoon. 12th will be Adam Boltemir. 13th will be Robbie Clavey. 14th is Travis Hoefler. That's 15th. 16th is be Dante Curtis. 17th is Justin Rigsby. 18th is Kenny Tripp. 19th is Gage Killam. 20th is Jeff Bergener. And 21st will be Jeff Mathis.
So let's not forget that Dante will be shuffled to the back after winning last week. And I do believe I saw one that we had that's going to be shuffled to the back due to incidents. Take a quick look here. That is Devin Rogers. So, unfortunate, but it's what happens. But we are ready to go here tonight. And Adam, did you hear where they're going to be creating chaos this evening?
No, I have not heard anything about the chaos meter for tonight.
Well, let's hope that I planned accordingly. Because if I was the one doing it, it would definitely be on that little bit of a chicane that's on the backstretch that somebody decided to try to turn this into a road course option. Oh, it looks like Dante Curtis is having steering wheel issues, which unfortunately I've had those myself.
I just missed what they said. Inside of something was you get some good air, so.
Oh,
sure.
I'm pretty sure it is right where I'm planned. To where we'll have to wait and see, because yes, I'm almost positive you can see a little bit of a difference in the green on the grass to where that is. I've hit that once or twice by accident as we see them go ahead and start doing some slightly strange things.
Good God, the spam bots are out tonight.
They are.
That's the second group right now. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. If you're out on YouTube right now, the spam bots are out there.
It's been a while since we've had to battle those, so I guess we were kind of due in all reality. But
Yeah.
anyway you look at it, these guys are 45 seconds away from having a great race.
So now it looks like they're hitting the corner of the wall. They're riding the edge of the wall in the middle of a corner and having, yeah, there's a glitch right there. They're riding the wall and they hit the glitch.
So we just get to see a massive pile up in the last 18 seconds here as these guys just going destruction derby style. I can't say that these things are going to get all that much traction on the grass though.
Man, most of these guys have blown engines after hitting those.
All right, we are ready to get ourselves racing at this point. And not a minute too soon. We're ready to get ourselves some high-speed action and get this field inverted so we can see our top qualifier looking to have that fantastic race. Dante Curtis winning last week is going to be at the very back, so in all honesty, it's exactly what Mike Alexander wants to be seeing.
Yeah. Let's see. These guys are going to have to start. They're going to start out there. I'm going to see if they're going to extend it out or not for this invert selection. So.
All right, but it looks like everybody has made their way onto the grid for the most part. It looks like we may have one or two starting from pit lane. Jeff Mathis just ending up at the back anyway, so why not? These guys are going to go ahead and pull themselves down, and we'll have to wait and see because, again, Adam Gable going to be the man on a mission. We've seen what he can do with these inverts. He has shown that he has the skill to be able to hold on to that lead position for quite some time if he is that man thrown to the front from an invert. And I'm looking forward mostly to see Kyle Walgreen is not somebody that we've got to see up in this front row all that often. So I'm excited to see what he does with his chance up here.
Yeah, you know, we got Devin Rogers who's just recently come back. He's going to be sitting up there. Actually, no, he's moving to the back. I thought they already got everything set in stone up here, but the positions are still moving around here. But I want to see what he does. But it looks like Devin Rogers is going to the back. Oh, that's right. He's got the EOL. He's going to the back. He was up front and got pushed to the back. But yeah, so we got Kyle Walgreen. I mean, Ryan Johnson gets a good flip here. He's going to be starting third. So, you know, usually he's at the tail end of an invert. Now he's at the front. So he's kind of being the beneficiary of it.
And that's what he needs to be seeing with where he is in the points. Having Dante Curtis running at the back, having some wheel issues. The pace car is off, and we are ready to get ourselves green as they're hitting the front stretch and getting themselves ready to go. The green flag waves, and we are racing. As Adam Gable gets an amazing jump to start this race. Ryan Johnson right there behind him. Gary Eschen following right behind. And it looks like Kyle Walgreen out on that outside line just got left behind as they're going 3 wide back there for 6th place. And that's probably not the smartest thing to do this early in a race.
Yeah, it looks like he just didn't get a great launch there on that restart, or on the initial start there, and kind of bunched up the whole entire outside line. I mean, the whole, you know, like you said, it's a bottom feeder track, so to speak, right now, and you want to be on the inside lane, and having somebody bottleneck it just did not really help anybody on the outside line. So we see people making up lots of spots who are there on the bottom.
As Jared Apel ran the fastest lap on this first one, and it's looking like Dante Curtis, he's struggling a little bit. He's out there on track, but he's 4 seconds back on these leaders and doing everything he possibly can. As we're seeing Ryan Johnson try to make the move on Adam Gable, he has the nose down below. Will he be able to actually get the job done coming out of turn 4 to lead this 4th lap? It looks like he wasn't quite able to do it because Adam Gable is doing a fantastic job defending on that outside. But he needs to go ahead and just give that up to where he can find his slot, as Dustin Shepard is going to drop down. And these guys are going to try to go side by side as long as they can. But Gary Eschen is going to move into second. That's going to open up the door for Dustin Shepard as Adam Gable runs very wide. And that's going to open up the door as Will Eastman's going to try to get himself up close enough to where there's no room for the 91 to slot in. And Adam Gable, after getting that beautiful jump, is just going to have a freight train run on that low line.
Yeah, right now there's really no gaps. There was like the smallest amount where he'd have maybe an inch or two where he could have dropped in right in front of the guys, but he chose not to have that squeeze play, and he's paying for it. He is now moving to the back and continue to fall. Brian Hacker closes the gap. He's just going to continue to fall another probably about 5 or 6 spots, being hooked on the outside.
And yeah, it looks like there's not any kind of a gap for him to make until about 13th at this point. So he's just going to keep falling. But these guys have gotten themselves single file as Travis Hoefler makes the move down below. And now he manages to slot in, kind of cuts Justin Rigsby's nose off, but he throws it in there to get that nose down below. He's down below on that apron. If he's able to make this work, that is going to be a beautiful move, but that kind of just slowed both of them down, and now we are single file pretty much. We are single file through the pack.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably going to be a single lane road, but I think these drivers have a little bit more of a say than last week. They're able to kind of drop it down a little bit lower, as we saw Justin Rigsby is able to drop the tires a little bit lower to get underneath them. Try to find something different compared to last week, which it was 100% follow the leader unless they made a big mistake.
As right now we're watching Gary Eschen, who is right there on the bumper of Ryan Johnson, trying to get a move done, and they're coming up on lap traffic. And that is going to make this very difficult for these guys, because it's definitely not something you're wanting to see starting lap 13 of 125 tonight.
Yeah, man, Gary Eschen right now is right on the back bumper of Ryan Johnson. Man, he does not want to give him an inch. He closes the gap. I think Gary gets a little bit better corner entry, but Ryan Johnson has got a great corner exit. And I think that the corner exit is what, you know, is helping Ryan Johnson stay ahead of him right now.
And they have officially got themselves up to Jeff Mathis. And that's going to make this interesting. These guys, for probably about 2 corners, are not going to be able to get the run that they really want to off the corner. And now they're just waiting for him to go ahead and slide up through the corner, let them have it, as we see Ryan Johnson just dive down way earlier than you're probably wanting to. But that's ultimately going to give them that opportunity to get through the lap traffic, enter one like they want to. And Jeff Mathis is officially a lap down. We're going to actually jump back ever so slightly. This is the battle for 8th, as Travis Hoefler, it was under pressure from Justin Rigsby, ends up putting the pressure on Jesse Womack, and he's right there on that bumper looking for that mistake, possibly being that close, trying to cause that mistake.
Yeah, we had Will Eastman. He got stuck on the outside for a little bit, was able to get right there, though in front of Jared Apel. I don't think Jared Apel was too happy with the move, but he was able to get in front of him instead of falling a little bit further back.
Oh, it's a 14 catches Jeff Mathis and goes off track. That's one of the good things for this track, is there's so much grass to where once you're off, you're off. You're not going to hit a wall. But that also means the 14 of Jesse Womack, having a pretty strong race, is now going to be well off the pace, and no caution to save that. As actually we're seeing Jared Apel get passed by Bryan Hacker on the edge of the frame there, and he is dropping back. The invert didn't help him.
No, it did not. Jared Apel's, he's slowly going back. I wonder if he's got a long run car. And we have
caution is out. Let's take a look. What? That was well after the fact. Just catches a little bit of the apron, still down there as he goes off, and I'm not 100% certain why that ended up being a caution and our earlier incident didn't. Oh,
No.
That's more like it. That'll do it.
And everybody's hitting the pit road.
And I'm going to go ahead and guess that right now the point behind that is, and we'll watch the race off of pit road, if we go green the rest of the way, that very much could be the fuel limit. It's a shorter track. We've seen these guys manage to do some fantastic work on old tires, but Dante Curtis is back out there. He got himself up onto the lead lap, but Gary Eschen with a strong call, staying out, putting himself up to the lead of this race. And Jared Apel is the man off of pit road first. That's definitely a one-tire or a two-tire stop. There's no way he was 4 seconds faster than everyone else.
I mean, you got to throw your shot out here early. Do a two-tire stop. You got some people that stayed out. So, you know, you got to do something a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. I mean, if they get another caution within, you know, next 15, 20 laps, you come back in, pit 4 tires, you just gain all that track position. Hopefully you don't fall too far back, though, with just a two-tire stop.
iRacing does a good job of modeling the two-tire stop with these cars. There are other cars that it's absolutely horrible. But with these cars, it's possible. We only got 22 laps. You're inside. The left side's not going to get too much damage. So
yeah, it doesn't carry that much heat as well. You're punishing the right front with this car, putting all the load right there on it. So the left side tires don't really heat up or lose that much traction. So you might feel like you're skating on ice a little bit. It might help you turn a little bit better here.
It's a good possibility, but the lights on the pace truck are off. So it is time for us to go ahead and get back to racing. So Gary Eschen, no tires. It looks like Jared Apel took right sides only. So let's see how these two gambles play out as they're getting ready. It's looking like Jared Apel, as he falls back, that's when Gary Eschen decides to go. That gives him the opportunity to get a good one-car lead. Jared Apel throws it down in front of Ryan Johnson, and it's looking like these two, as they're going to be able to go without having to battle too much. They're going to be able to get themselves a little bit of a lead and hopefully be able to make it to the point to where the tires neutralize a little bit from these guys fighting, but Ryan Johnson has managed to get himself clear of Dustin Shepard. Now it's Mike Alexander's turn to try to get himself clear. Brian Hacker is looking to take advantage of that. And it looks like Dustin Shepard tried to close the door, wasn't quite capable of doing it. And now Dustin Shepard is in trouble as Gary Eschen actually loses the lead to Jared Apel. And now we're starting to see that lack of a pit stop. Even if it was only 2 tires, it's going to be an advantage over somebody that does not have fresh Hoosiers.
Yeah, right now, Gary just needs to hit the brakes right quick and fall in behind Mike Alexander. If not, he's falling to the back here. But it looks like Brian Hacker's going to come in and close the door. He won't have an opportunity to drop in. And he's just going to fall back, staying out. It just didn't work out for him. And Jared Apel, he did a fantastic job, but now he's going to be under fire by Ryan Johnson, who's tracking him down, trying to take over that first spot.
And you know what? He's going to be able to do it. Jared Apel is looking at a whole lot of that 38 right now off of his rear bumper. And again, this is probably what we're seeing as the difference between 2 tires and 4 tires. He opens up a little bit of a gap to where we can see a little less, but we can see through the corners. That 38 just has so much more grip.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Ryan Johnson's kind of not sandbagging, but, you know, just conserving his tires and hopefully, you know, kind of pushing Jared Apel along. You know, he knows that he probably can push it and get to him, but he wants to see if Jared Apel will make the mistake first before trying to wear up his equipment and try and get by him.
And those are the kinds of games you play as we see the 75 go a little bit wide. And that is going to put him under pressure from Brian Hacker, to where this front 4, despite, again, Jared Apel taking the gamble on the tires, they've opened up a bit of a gap. It's closing in on 3/4 of a second right now. And that's what they want to see, is just get themselves a little bit of breathing space to where if somebody tries to make a move and ends up hung up on the outside, there's still room to get yourself back in and minimize the damage.
Yeah, that's the biggest spot here with this track. It's a bottom feeder track, and you only have so much room. So if Ryan Johnson tries to do a move, he loses that momentum that he needs to be carrying off the corner, then Mike Alexander is able to pounce. He might only lose 2 spots to go back to 4th with that big gap behind him, but it's 2 spots that you just lost on a track that's hard to pass.
But the thing that we're actually starting to see, Dustin Shepard running in 5th right now. He's managed to get a little bit of separation from Gary Eschen, who, no tires on that last one, is now starting to come under pressure from Will Eastman, who, again, these guys, unfortunately, he is dropping down to that yellow line to try to get the move done. Can't quite carry the speed that he wants, but he is a man on a mission. And then right behind him, we're starting to see a lot of shaking up towards the back of this top 10 as Justin Rigsby is now closing in on the group in front of him. But Jesse Womack, who had that early incident, got himself back up into the top 10, but now is just trying to hang on ever so slightly. But jumping back up to the front, these guys still just letting Jared Apel run away. Keep yourself nice and calm. Don't overdrive it. And wait for the race to come to you, as Dustin Shepard is now closing in. He's gaining close to a 10th every 3 laps, but not quite enough. But big thing is again, Gary Eschen holding up this line just ever so slightly. It's looking like he's just starting to frustrate Will Eastman ever so slightly at this point.
Yeah, Will Eastman is trying to get by Gary Eschen. You get frustrated. He doesn't have 4 fresh set of tires. You do, and you want to get by. And it's put a huge gap between you and the rest of the field, and that's what happens. And Gary Eschen finally is now getting overtaken right now. A little bit of contact. He said he apologized. And looks like they're going to continue on here. And Gary Eschen is just going to drop back here.
Hey, he got some laps led, and that's sometimes all that matters. And at least Will was a gentleman. Calls over the radio to apologize. He did send in a little bit hot, but for the most part, those are the kind of moves that I expect on a track like this. Somebody going in very hot, giving a little contact when they kind of overdrive it at the apex, and nobody spun, no true harm done other than to Gary Eshen's position.
Yeah, let's see. We got Jesse Womack right now. He's slowly getting by him. The top 4 is pulled away. Then you got Dustin Shepard. He's out running laps by himself. He's kind of catching this group of 4 up here, but he's still a little bit further back. And then you have a little bit, another like 2.5 seconds back to Will Eastman. So it's kind of what we got going on here. This is not really the best battle per se, but the only battle on the track. Everybody's single file, and as we watch Gary Eschen just slowly fall backwards.
Well, and here's the best view that we can see, and we can now start to see Dustin Shepard's got about a straightaway over Will Eastman, and part of that really is just Gary Eschen, no fresh tires, kind of held these guys up. Right now, Will Eastman's actually lapping a little bit slower than the guys in front of him, but we're talking fractions of a tenth. But the thing to keep an eye on is that Dustin Shepard, he's running the fastest laps on the track right now.
It's not by much, though. I mean, he's running the fastest laps, but it's not by much. He's chipping away at these guys lap by lap, and Bryan Hacker's move, it's going to draw him in a little bit closer here on the back bumper of Mike Alexander. He's now within about a 1.5 car length of him.
And let's go ahead, and while we have a slight break in the action, take a quick look at what happened right there. As we just see Bryan Hackert. He shows that he's going to be making that move. Mike Alexander makes the right move, just gets out of his way, lets him take it. It's only one position, sees that there's enough space behind him to where...
We got Jeff Mathis was off the track, comes on the track right in front of the guys right here. I stayed down low, though, and got out of the way.
And it actually looks like Dante Curtis is managing to keep himself on the lead lap despite some hardware issues. I mean, any points are good points for him. Because
he's got to just stay in it and just drive his race. And if, you know, looks like he's got hardware problems, so he's just going to kind of stay in the back and run his own race, not try and mess up, because if something happens, he doesn't want to ruin somebody else's night. But if other people have horrible nights and he can gain 1 or 2 spots more throughout the night, then he's going to stay in it until he can, because every point matters.
And that's going to be the big thing. We've talked about it, and nobody wants to see a bad night from anyone. But these
especially
guys...
based on hardware issues, that's something out of your control. You know, on-track performance, you're like, okay, I beat them fair and square on track to get in front of the, took over the lead or capitalized on it. But when somebody has hardware failure, computer failure, something to that effect that's outside their means, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, I did capitalize on them, but it wasn't because of my talent, speed, or anything else like that. He just, you know, he couldn't connect right, or the wheel didn't work right.
I'm lucky to say I've never really had anything. Oh, as the Bryan Hackert gets into the back of the 38, hangs on to it, and that was one of those moves to where that's a code brown.
Brown pants move?
Without a doubt, that is not only scary for him, but we look at the guys that are right behind him, and that's I'm going to hit the brakes a little bit harder than I normally would. And that's why we're seeing these guys were within about 2/10. Now they've dropped back ever so slightly, but at the end of the day, that's the right move, because if you see a little bit of somebody's door numbers when you shouldn't be, it's time to make sure you're going to survive rather than worry about that gap.
Yeah, it's never good whenever you see their door numbers at all. Like, you should see the rear bumper, not the side of the car.
And we're going to jump back here as this group right now is starting to heat up ever so slightly. These guys are all within, basically from 7th all the way back to 11th, these guys are within a second of one another, as we actually see Travis Hoefler have a little bit of a connection with the wall, and that's going to open up the door for Gary Eschen. And honestly, this is where Gary Eschen's gamble is probably going to help pay off. Everybody's tires have equalized at this point. We're closing in on 30 laps in this stint, to where if Gary Eschen was able to take care of his tires, dropping down below the line there and below the banking isn't going to help him. But at the end of the day, these guys aren't going to have quite the same advantage that they did originally against Gary Eschen.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, as we say that, Gary Eschen's going around and catches it. But before that, I mean, Gary Eschen was running right up at the front there. I mean,
he is going to go ahead and take and get himself into the pits, and not the best pit entry ever, but also not the worst that I've seen.
This one, I mean, he's trying to carry as much speed as he can on that the pit road access there, but you got to feather the throttle to stay out of the grass. As we see Jared April still hanging on the lead with that 2-tire stop.
And he's starting to get a little extra squirrely. That's not the first time I've seen him have the back end come around ever so slightly on corner entry. So these guys are just waiting for that extra bobble that could open up the door and let them get the run that they're looking for on one of these straightaways. But as they go zipping by, this top 5 have a 3.5 second lead over Will Eastman in 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I think it closed down just a little bit, but they're still trying to pull away up here. Dustin Shepard was able to catch up to these guys, and now he's falling back just a little bit. I know they had that one checkup with Bryan Hacker, but they haven't been able to really gain that ground back up.
And they're coming up to one of the great equalizers in there as we go on board with Jared Apel. We have ourselves some lap traffic coming up. Granted, it's definitely not slow lap traffic, because that's the 03 of Dante Curtis, who's just doing everything he can.
Oh, we got a pass for the lead on the inside. Ryan Johnson's underneath Jared Apel. He dove it down low off the corner there. Now everybody's going to finally get by him here.
And if I'm Jared Apel, just kind of throw this corner ever so slightly. See if you can drop in front of Mike Alexander, but he throws it into the corner down below that white line, trying to get around and can't quite get it done. And that's going to be minimal damage. But now we're going to see if Ryan Johnson, back in control of this race, is going to be able to take and pull away, as he's catching up to Dante ever so slightly. And now, oh, Bryan Hacker gets a little bit loose on corner entry. Just a little happy on the brakes there. But that's going to be exactly what Bryan... Oh, as he does it again, I think he may have overcooked some tires there.
I mean, he was been pushing for a long time. I mean, he had to catch up to the group just a little bit. He had to get by Mike Alexander. He was putting pressure right there on Ryan Johnson. I mean, he's doing what he had to do to try to stay with these guys. Who knows if he did? Like I said, Ryan Johnson could have been waiting his time, waiting for that two-tire strategy to fall off a little bit, and then pounce. And if he did, if that's what the strategy was, I mean, he played it off perfectly, because we're about probably 3/4 way through that run. I'm not sure if they can make it to the end here. We got just over 54 laps to go here, so we'll have to see if they can make it to the end, or if they're gonna have to make one more stop. As we got Robbie Clavey in the infield. No caution has come out, but he's sitting right there on the infield. Saw him just a little bit in the screen.
And honestly, he's going to go ahead and make the right move. Get the pit stop done. Just get it out of the way. Get four fresh tires. Get yourself back out on track. Because if we are going to be seeing one more stop, and that caution was timed ever so perfectly to where I would say that they are going to be pushing the limits of a fuel run. But we're going to go ahead and jump back ever so slightly here, as this is looking like the battle right now for basically 7th, as this group is led by Justin Rigsby. Jesse Womack is right there, as well as Travis Hoefler. These guys are... Dante Curtis is down right there on the apron, letting these guys go by. No use fighting it. He's out there to get as many points as he possibly can. So these guys are just going to slide on by him. But up at the front, these guys are in conservation mode. Bryan Hacker still has Jared Apel right there on his bumper. And we're starting to see just a little bit more separation out of this top 5, as Dustin Shepard, who probably was pushing unbelievably hard to try to catch this front group, overcooked the tires. And now he's struggling because, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting this long of a run, and I'll knock on the wood to make sure that hopefully we aren't giving a commentator's curse here. But these guys, nobody's given up, and we're starting to see those guys that did not push come to life.
Yeah, right now I've been looking at the battle for second place between Jared Apel and Bryan Hacker. And Jared Apel, even though he's got those 2 tires, he's been right on Bryan Hacker's rear bumper. I mean, I think at one point you could put a sheet of paper right in between their back bumper, and that's the only thing they would fit. I mean, these guys are racing close quarters. That's what I love about this, you know. It might be a hard track to pass, but these guys don't give up, and they're not shy to just basically leave it all on the track and get within an inch of each other and race as hard as possible.
And that is what they're doing, and it looks like through the corners, that's where Jared Apel has the advantage. Bryan Hacker has the run off the corner, but as we see Jared Apel and Bryan Hacker does a good job closing off that low run, but we're seeing Jared Apel make the dive into the pits now. So obviously there is going to be another stop coming, because I don't understand. He would not give up that track position in this situation. So he's looking to pull the undercut and come out, because it's about a half a second difference right now between these guys' fastest laps and their current laps, as Bryan Hacker, Jesse Womack are both in as well. So I'm wondering if right now Ryan Johnson's going to react, get himself into the pits. No, he's going to go ahead and stay out. It's not the worst gamble that I've ever seen with this many people on varying tire strategies. These are the kinds of things that bring out cautions, especially on a track like this.
I mean, who's going to now try the 2-tire stop? Will you try it this late in the game here, having about, well, we stopped around lap 20-something, so 60 laps on your left set of tires, try to make it to the end with it, so that you can kind of save a couple seconds there on the pit road.
I mean, it's a good call, especially if you took 4 tires on that last one, as Ryan Johnson's making his way in from the lead, and that is going to give the lead of this race to Dustin Shepard, who is going to lead lap 84, and we're starting to see these guys go ahead, make the pit stops. Mike Alexander is in. Devin Rogers is also on pit lane. And Gary Eschen, the first person to pit on lap 60, is making his way around. He basically split this race in half, as we see Ryan Johnson rejoin. And he is going to be in second as we cycle through these pit stops. But Dustin Shepard right now has the lead, and we only have about 6 people out there on the lead lap. And a caution right now would be disastrous for quite a few people's races.
Yeah, you know, when a pit cycle like this for green flag gets undercutted, it just ruins everything, and, you know, it throws a whole entire wrench in everybody's plan.
As Adam Gable in the 91 makes his way in, that is going to make it to where there are going to be 6 people on the lead lap, as Ryan Johnson got himself around and unlapped himself, and he is now pushing hard on the back of Gary Eschen. We're having memories of that restart right now. As Ryan Johnson goes ahead, dives down below the 23. The 23 knows that his tires are significantly older. It's not worth the fight on either of their part. So it is just now, once we get through this cycle, this is going to be an interesting 35 laps.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens here. I think Dustin Shepard and the rest of the guys, the top 5 here, are hoping for a caution before coming in. That's what they want to see. They want to upset the field here and have a caution come out here and trap most of the field where they would all have to take a wave around.
They would have to take the wave around, and even more importantly, these guys are set up for the end of the race. As we're seeing Will Eastman looking to get himself back up and try to unlap himself before we reach the tail end of this race, as he's right there on the 20s bumper, throws it down, and we have another one from the lead lap make their way in. Gary Eschen crashed? What are we looking at here? Let's go ahead and just see what happens here. As he just goes through the corner, it looks like he went a little bit wide, drops down onto the apron, and just decides to have some fun. And
yeah, he wasn't back on the lead lap. He wasn't running with Ryan Johnson there. He was still way back there in, I think, 17th, another lap down, more than what Ryan Johnson and the rest of these guys were.
All right, so Dustin Shepard continues to tick the laps off. He's closing in on a second slower than everybody else. There's a chance that he may have figured something out for fuel mileage. Maybe he'll be able to take and lift a little earlier, save just enough fuel to make it to where he is going to be able to make it through this race. But I don't know.
Right now he's got about a 16-second gap, 16.5-second gap over Ryan Johnson. So that's the only thing I could really think of, is like he is doing the best fuel saving possibility, because him coming back in now, other than hoping for a late caution, you know, to make this strategy work, you know, is him trying to make it to the end, as we've already seen him fall off over a second compared to Ryan Johnson in that last lap. So I think he'll run out of time, and Ryan Johnson will get to him before he can save enough fuel to get to the end.
But we'll have to wait and see how this is going to play out. It's not a terrible call to wait for that late caution, as right now this is the battle for second. Travis Hoefler is running right in front of Justin Rigsby. He's got about a half a second, but actually, let's go ahead and jump back here, as the battle for effectively third, if these guys have to pit. This is Mike Alexander trying to get around Brian Hacker, and Jared Apel right there behind him. These guys, as we see Jared Apel get a little bit loose coming out of 2, and these guys just, they're racing for themselves at this point.
Yeah, these guys are doing what they can. I know Mike Alexander, he's trying to do his best to get to the front to capitalize on the worrisome what happened to Dante tonight. You know, our reigning points leader is having a terrible night, like we said at the beginning of the broadcast. You know, one terrible night and Mike Alexander's back in. So we see right now Dante Curtis is having a terrible night. He's running 15th, whereas right now effectively Mike Alexander is 6th. So that's 9 more points for Mike Alexander as they run right now.
All right, with 25 laps to go, we haven't had an opportunity to take a commercial break to hear about the sponsors of the North-South Racing League. Let's take a few moments away, and then we will call the last probably 20 laps once we come back.
5 Star Realty Group is located on the Emerald Coast in beautiful Panama City, Florida. 5 Star Realty Group has years of experience in residential properties, investment opportunities, vacation rentals, and commercial properties, and looks forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Kelly's Custom Engraving is a locally owned and operated business located in Wellville, North Carolina, specializing in custom engraving of wood, leather, glass, acrylic, and many more materials. Be sure to like and follow their Facebook page to view all of their amazing products and place your order.
All right. Dustin Shepard made his way into the pits while we were away, and that is going to drop him right in the middle of this battle that we were watching for a little while earlier, to where he is in front, or
yeah, he's right in front of the race leader right now. Travis Hoefler, he did not go a lap down, so he's right there. Let's see, his pit time was 37 seconds, where everybody else is mid-40s. Everybody else had mid-40s pit stops, but him, he had a 37-second pit stop, which did not put him a full lap down.
and that is the best thing that he could ask for, being on that lead lap. As now we have Travis Hoefler in, so it looks like these guys are going to have to make that last stop. So the 81 of Justin Rigsby gets a little bit loose on corner entry, and I think that's going to be his all he needs to see to make that last stop.
That's going to put Ryan Johnson in the race lead here. In about 5 seconds, he's going to come across and take over the race lead from him.
And that is going to give him officially the lead of this race. And honestly, if I'm Justin Rigsby, Dustin Shepard, I'm going to take that gamble. These guys have been running a fantastically clean race, but you never know what's going to happen, especially when you're battling lap traffic like our leader is right now on Jeff Mathis. He's not giving an inch, and that's relatively surprising as we actually see the 81 barely come out and behind the race leader. So if we do have a caution, he will be able to get back up on the lead lap. But right now, only the top 10 are on the lead lap. So those are the kinds of things that you end up seeing on these green flag runs like this. Strategy is king. But these three are just not giving up.
Yeah, right now, I mean, they are sitting about 5 seconds back from Bryan, our race leader, Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson can kind of basically not be pressured to do anything for the next 15 laps here until the finish. Just run his race, hit his marks, and if a caution doesn't come out, it's his race to lose, being this far ahead of these guys right now.
And honestly, I'm going to say it, if there's a caution, it's going to come from these three. Everybody else is relatively spaced out. We do right now have Dustin Shepard, a little bit of pressure from Jesse Womack, but there's enough of a gap there that these guys are really going at it, because now this is the battle for second. And man, the bots are out on YouTube tonight.
Yeah, I'm just actively just clicking block, and they just keep coming back.
But I'm actually going to jump back. Right now, Adam Gable under pressure from Rodney Huntoon. This is for 8th place. And it looked like it was going to be a little bit closer, but only momentarily, apparently. But these guys right now, there's not many people with any kind of a gap under a half a second, let alone all three of these guys being within a half a second.
Yeah, these guys are pushing it hard, and like I said, Mike Alexander, he wants to get one more spot. He's right behind Bryan Hacker. He's hoping that Bryan slips up or he gets a good run out of the corner where he can actually make a good move on Bryan Hacker and get by. But at the same time, he doesn't want to push his luck too much, because Jared Apel is very, very, very close, and he can't mess up and lose a spot.
Well, and just to remind everyone, Dante Curtis is leading. Bryan Hacker is 24 points, or that's 18 points back on the man in behind him. So these are the kinds of races that honestly just chip away at those points and ultimately just try to maximize and close that gap, because as it stands, these guys, it very much is wide open with after tonight's race, and we've got 7 to go, and I have a feeling these guys are saving for that last 3 laps.
I mean, they're setting it up. They're replaying everything in their mind right now, trying to figure out where can they make the move, when's the right time, and because if you put up a move, that person can use that move, do a crossover. There's a lot of different things that could happen that could have put you in the back really quickly.
The last time I raced at this, and Adam actually called it, there were 4 people within about a second coming out of turn 4 on the last lap. The leader lost it trying to get as much of a run as he could and ends up in 4th. I didn't win. I was in 3rd. I was just happy to end up on the podium. But those are the kinds of things that can happen on these kinds of tracks, and especially since they're closing in on lap traffic. These last 4 laps, let's go ahead and check in on Ryan Johnson, who's just got some clean air. Gonna cross the line with 3 laps to go, and the last thing he wants to see right now is any kind of a caution. And again, it's gonna come from this group. 3 laps to go as we see Bryan Hacker go a little bit wide through 1 and 2. And again, they're going to catch this lap traffic. That is okay, that's a 36. For some reason, my brain saw 26. But that's exactly what they want to see. The lap traffic, just go ahead and run the wall, let them pass, let them fight it out. But as we are coming to the line for the white flag, Ryan Johnson is not going to end up with a caution, not going to have to battle it out. But these guys just, it was the perfect race, the perfect strategy call to get the win tonight. Again, bittersweet because you have to start from the back next week. But Ryan Johnson making his way out of turn 4 to take the checkered flag and the win. And it looks like these guys are going to finish exactly where they ran. No one taking too big of chances. Just take the points and walk away. But again, tonight, Ryan Johnson, just a flawless race. Not the best qualifying effort. Ends up towards the back of the field. The invert ends up helping him. And that is going to go ahead, get him the win as Travis Hoefler decides to send some smoke up in front of him and, you know, give him a good scare.
Yeah, he pulled a fantastic pit strategy there at the end. I thought him staying out those extra about 5 laps was going to hurt him. Thought these guys were going to be able to put a hurting on him, but his pit stop was fantastic and was able to really put these guys on point to get out there in front of them and just leave them in the dust.
All right, let's go ahead and run through the finishing order. We have Ryan Johnson as our winner, Bryan Hacker in second, Mike Alexander third, fourth is Jared Apel, fifth Will Eastman, sixth Jesse Womack, seventh is Adam Gable, eighth Justin Rigsby, ninth is Devin Rogers, 10th Travis Hoefler, 11th Gage Killam.
12th will be Dustin Shepard. 13th is Adam Boltemere. 13th will be Kyle Walgreen. Sorry, that's 14th. 15th is Dante Curtis. 16th is Rodney Huntoon. 17th is Jeff Mathis. 18th is Robbie Clavey. 19th is Gary Eshen. 20th is Jeff Bergener. And 21st is Kenny Tripp.
All right, I'm going to wait a second here to make sure that I do not break his focus while he is running a reverse lap. Why not? He's coming out. So may as well interrupt his focus while he's trying to do something that's not easy in iRacing. All right, you get yourself the win, sir, and then take a victory lap in the oddest way I've seen. Is he muted?
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
Oh my, I'm getting feedback from somebody. Yes, you.
It's me.
I can't understand you.
All right. Let's go ahead and see what's happening here.
Sounds better right there.
That's a little better, yeah.
All right. Is that better?
Ah,
Nope. Yeah, went back again. So yeah, I'm not the only one. When we switch over to TeamSpeak, it just sucks for us. So it doesn't play nice with us. We normally broadcast on Discord, and when we swap over here for the interviews to talk with you guys, it doesn't play well with Josh's mic. I thought I was the only one that heard it, but finally somebody else says it.
it's all good. I understand. Oh.
All right, so man, fantastic race, man. My question was, whenever you came out after that first and only caution, and you were riding behind Jared Apel on his two-tire stop, were you just waiting your time to get by him later in the run, or you just couldn't get by him until you finally got a good run?
Yeah, I was definitely just hanging out. I led some laps already, so I mean, I've raced with Jared for quite a while now since joining the league, and he's a good guy to just follow. I wasn't in any rush to try and pass him. I know Bryan and Mike they had some pressure for a while, but just taking my time. And I think eventually Jared's tires started giving out there on the rears. He looked pretty loose, and I was just trying to keep mine under me, and for the long runs, hoping we got some, and thankfully we did.
I mean, hopefully it's not being completely stupid now.
Better.
That sounds
yes.
much better.
Okay, maybe it's just because my microphone was too close, so now it's miles away. But no, it was one of those strategy calls. Adam said it before we brought you up, that we thought that possibly that extra few laps over everyone may have been the kiss of death, but it somehow worked out and come out with a good lead. We were thinking that maybe Dustin Shepard was going to end up with just the magic fuel savings and be able to make it.
Yeah, when I was looking at fuel, because under caution, I had taken a full tank, and looking at the numbers, I'm like, that's a lot of laps to try and save, and I finally found my my good round number with like 40 to go, and when other people had started pitting, and I think it was Mike that followed me down, and I was like, all right, well, see how much fuel we need to take, and just watching my fuel calculator, and I was like, well, this should be enough. Clicked it, and off we went. And I was like, should be enough, but we'll find out. And had a couple extra tenths. I don't know how, but guessed it right.
I mean, it works out well, and you take the lead and bring it home. Unfortunately, it was one of those nights that you don't wish upon anyone, with the points leader ending up being hampered by technological issues, but it's going to close up the championship quite a bit.
Yeah, that sucks for him. I've been there though. My wheel is not worked, and it sucks, but we've all been there. It's going to make it more interesting, but I know Mike was right there in the top 3, so, and then I think Hacker's even up there still too. So those 2 guys finishing right behind me didn't help me a whole lot, but the win sure helps. So we'll keep doing what we can.
I mean, next week you get to start from the back at Five Flags, but that's definitely a track to where these cars are capable of getting a second line running if needed, but still talking short track racing.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even know what track was next, but yeah, Five Flags isn't too bad. I mean, we'll see what we can do. I know we've just got to be patient, work our way through the field if we can, if we're fast enough. But I feel like we will be. Five Flags is normally a pretty good track. It's grown on me a lot since jumping on iRacing here. So yeah, hopefully we can have another good run.
Yeah, Five Flags is good for any car that's not too big. Definitely look forward to the snowball every year, because for some reason that's what made Five Flags be one of my favorite tracks. Mostly because of super late models, but still.
Hey, whatever works. Whatever floats your boat.
But great run from you tonight. Definitely looking forward to seeing what you have next week for us. But congratulations, sir.
Thanks, guys. I was starting to think I was never going to win again. I started getting up there on the winless streak, I guess. That's what Grosser, our race controller, told us last week. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to be up there. But got lucky.
At least you haven't ended up getting the nickname of Mark Martin within the league, so.
That is fair. And I mean, well, what's weird is I don't think I've ever seen that in this league. And we've had it 3 times now this season, 2 in 1 race. So.
Anyway, slice it. Congratulations, sir, and we'll see if we get to chat with you next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, take care, sir.
Y'all too.
All right, onward to Mr. Bryan Hacker. Has a fantastic run and ends up on the podium.
Yeah, here we are, huh?
I mean, it's where you qualified and it's where you ended, so.
Yeah, if only I had that bigger Ryan Johnson fuel cell, we could have maybe challenged for the lead, but that dude's David Blaine or something. I don't know.
I think you just got lucky with the call, and you know what? Hey, second is nothing to scoff at, especially when you end up finishing in front of the person that you're behind on points, and actually in front of everyone that you're behind on points.
Yeah, the only problem is I got a 1X like 2 laps into the race from somebody that didn't use their brakes well enough, so in the grand scheme of things, the points I'll probably still come out behind, at least Mike.
Yeah, but it's still a good run.
Yeah, it's a good run. I'm not upset by any means with the second. I'm happy with it. This is one of my favorite tracks. I like running here. I wish we, I like the long green flag runs, but I'm terrible when it comes to fuel mileage strategy. I've got the math aptitude of a first grader, so.
I feel your pain on that one. I have the calculators up and I look at them over and over, and if I don't have anybody to bounce it off of it, I go mad inside of my head.
Yeah, that's what I end up doing. I don't do this enough to probably get one of the apps that I should get, but after watching Ryan kick our asses tonight, maybe it's worth it.
Honestly, it's not necessarily even one of those things to use the fuel calculator or anything like that. It's just figure out, okay, where the fuel run is going to take me, and the quick math of roughly figuring out, okay, if I have to split this in half, what lap do I need to go in? And then sometimes you could just follow everyone else when they start to pit. Yeah,
once the tires started getting slick on that second to last run, and I saw Jared dive it in a lap before me, and I was like, I'm not going to be the one that gets stuck out here running slower lap times. So I took it in the next lap, and I noticed that Mike and Ryan stuck it out for another 2 or 3 laps, and I felt good about it. And then I was looking through the running order trying to figure out where Ryan was, and he's half a lap in front of me. And I don't know. He does it every time we have one of these fuel mileage races. I just got to – he won't tell me what he's doing, as he shouldn't, but one of these days I'm going to figure it out.
We did have about a 6-second better stop than you guys did. Some of you guys. He had about a 37, 38 second overall stop, where you guys had about a 43 to 47 second stops for the guys around them. So less fuel load. Who knows exactly what happened, but that is a big factor of what got him out there in front of you guys.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I have too much fuel left over probably, but ever since I ran myself out first race of the season, I'm not going to do that again. So I always want to take a little bit more than I think I do, and he must have gotten it right on the nose.
I am not one to trust any of the calculators, because generally once I get that last stop in, it's just full tilt, and that's caused too many issues over time to where I just fill it to the brim and just say, you know what, I'll be that 10th slower. I don't care.
Yeah, that was kind of the thought. I mean, I'm thrilled with the second, don't get me wrong. I felt like we were pretty quick on track tonight. That's I would have loved to have battled that thing out on the track rather than in the pits, but you got to give credit to Ryan for, you know, he was leading before the pit stop even happened, so he really kind of dominated tonight.
I mean, you did something right to where you're able to hold off Mike Alexander, because that group of 3 that you guys had going there for a little while, I was fully anticipating a caution to come from you guys. Somebody was going to make that desperation move and end a few nights.
No, I know Mike well enough that I didn't think he would do that to me. We were talking earlier in the race about how hard it was to get underneath somebody without, you know, the person making a mistake. So I just knew I didn't, you know, if I didn't make a mistake, it was going to be really hard to get a nose under me, and I knew he wasn't going to press the issue. Jared, on the other hand, has been known to press the issue from time to time, so I was a little worried about him getting moved out of the way, and then, you know, me being in this line of sights, but everybody kind of kept it clean.
They did a fantastic job, man. I know it wasn't the win, but it wasn't, you know, last, and you're up here in the podium. Great points night for you. Kind of closed the gap just a little bit more. You know, we still got a long ways to go till the end of the season.
Yeah, it sucks for Dante. I don't know the full story of what happened tonight, but not, you know, I know it was something unfortunate and not
steering wheel.
He's certainly not going to run 17th or wherever he finished every week. So that it's rough night for him. I know. I think he was on a controller, so but he still, you know, kept it clean. And when the leaders were coming, he was graceful about it. So, you know, it sucks that he had that night, but it is gonna shake up the points a little bit.
I've run on a controller before, luckily not in an actual league race. And yeah, that is not fun.
No, it's not easy.
But great run from you tonight. Take solace in the fact that still second is better than 10th.
Oh, yeah.
And closing in the points. And next week we get 5 flags. How are you going to run?
It's not traditionally been my best track. I think it's a 200 lapper, so whenever the 38 pits, I will pit, and I'll just follow him around like a puppy dog all night and hope that we could be there at the end.
I'm not sponsored by it, but you know, and we're not nothing. But I go with a Race Lab app. They have some pretty good overlays, and that's what I run for mine. You get a fuel calculator, relative standings. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you get for free, and that's what I have up on my screens when I race. That gives pretty good accurate fuel counts, no matter if you have shortened fuel loads like you do here, 40%. It calculates whatever your last lap was, your last 5 laps, a race average. It kind of gives you a lot of knowledge there that you probably don't even know how to interpret, but you'll learn over time. So that's a really good one that I've been running with about a year and some change now.
I'll have to check that one out, and hopefully they throw you a buck for endorsing it.
No, but a great run, and looking forward to seeing what you have for us at Five Flags next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep, take care, sir. All right, and finally, interrupting him mid-conversation, Mr. Mike Alexander, 2 weeks in a row.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
You had yourself another great run, get to chat with us, and unfortunately, due to somebody getting to run on a controller, we're hearing, we get to chat with you one last time.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. That sucks. Sucks Dante wasn't able to bring his wheel and run up front with us. But, you know, I got to take any points I can get on him because it's not very often you can outrun him. So I got to take everything I can get when he's having a bad day.
No, it was one of those fantastic races that it was nice, clean, and a podium.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I mean, honestly, I feel like I was fast enough probably to win. I was just kind of biding my time on the second last run, trying to save fuel so I didn't have to put as much fuel in. And I'm still trying to figure out how Ryan beat me out so much on that last stop. But congrats to him. It was fun.
You guys were about even in terms of being time in the box. The difference was he was nearly actually 2 seconds faster on pit lane total. Gotcha.
Yeah. We were talking about that before. I am pretty conservative coming into pit lane. It's always been a struggle of mine. Like I'd rather get to pit lane smoothly than, take a risk and, run off the track or speed so I'm always way too conservative there, but it is what it is. We'll go on to next week now.
Honestly, I can tell you Adam knows very well how aggressively I enter pit lane.
Very aggressive. Borderline of suicidal.
But next week we're at Five Flags. What are you anticipating out of that one?
Five Flags has never been one of my stronger tracks as far as short tracks go. It's probably my worst short track on the series or on the schedule, but I think I'll be okay. I normally still run okay there, but it's definitely not a bread and butter track for me.
That's unfortunate. Just again, we've discussed it once already. It has become one of my favorite short tracks just from running the snowball.
Oh, it's a very fun track. I love running there. It's not a place that I haven't mastered it yet. I can never seem to. I'm always close, but I'm never setting the world on fire there at all.
I got you, man. But hey, man, great run tonight, third place. Great points night for you. It's going to close the gap a little bit going into next week, and we wish you luck. We'll be up here calling you all next week.
Appreciate it, and thank you guys for doing this, and thanks to the guys that put the league on. Thanks everybody. This is a fun league, so appreciate being here.
All right, thanks and congratulations, and we'll see what you have for us at Five Flags.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that is going to do it for us here at Ghostfire Media for the Kelly's Custom Engraving 125. Make sure check us out next week. We will be at Five Flags for one of these Showdown events. We're going to have 200 laps. It's going to be an absolute blast, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, gents. We from Ghostfire Media wish you guys have a wonderful Monday night and a great rest of your week.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.